It's Monday, December 11, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The Barbados Water Authority issues an apology to the country, especially residents and businesses on the South Coast, for the sewage mess there. The roaring problem, which has been plaguing the area for some time now, forced local franchise Chicken Barn to close its Worthing branch over the weekend. BWA's General Manager Keith Roy Halliday described the latest development as extremely unfortunate, and he made the comment during a press conference with other BWA officials before a walkthrough of the area's sewage treatment plant with reporters yesterday.
While it may not help or may not sink home for many, if it has not yet been said, Barbados Water Authority at least wants to express their regret and to say we are sorry. We are sorry to the national community that we were not able to respond in a better time frame given the realities of which we've been facing, whether justified or not. At the end of the day, we appreciate and understand the difficulty that most workers and most residents have to face on a daily basis in that particular area, and it is really regrettable and it's unfortunate. But the Barbados Water Authority and Wastewater Division, and certainly my team, we are empathetic. We are regretful that this is what Barbadians go through, as well as tourists go through every day. Our staff deals with it, deal with it on a very regular basis, and on a 24-hour basis at that.
However, he said a temporary relief would be forthcoming in the coming days when BWA technicians install a bypass system, which would alleviate some of the build-up pressure in the system, even as they search for a permanent fix.
This is something we must overcome. This is something we must overcome as a community. And therefore, while it has been perhaps long in coming, particularly for those people who are experiencing it directly, we want to say to everyone at large that we still need your patience. We still need for you to work with us. We still need for you to rally around the Barbados Water Authority as we try to make this right. Recognizing, as Dr. George would have said, there are no quick fixes. But certainly what we're seeking to do in the interim to provide relief, which Patricia has been ably and aggressively pursuing, we believe that in the short term we should be able to at least see some sense of normalcy for some of these businesses in terms of the sewage levels, and certainly in the long run what we need to do in terms of overhauling the entire system, we'll hopefully be able to have a much more significant fix.
Meanwhile, wastewater manager Patricia Innes made it clear that the BWA has been hard at work and delivering on its promises to fix the problem, despite some public utterings.
So from November the 14th to the end of November, we tried our own resources to see if we can fix the problem. On December the 1st, we said, this is more than us. And then we started to source. All the while, we were having the balances of sometimes overflows. Barbadians have been patient, but of course, this is not a situation we want. But this is a situation not of anyone's making. This has been a crumbling system, the network as it is. So from that point, we have sourced and we have identified a number of partners over in the United States. In England, we are actually, some of them are WhatsApping me right now. And their conclusions are very similar to ours. Mr. Alsop, Mr. Leslie will also explain to you and to Barbadians, it is not a case of taking your time. We are hurrying as quickly as we can, but we cannot be reckless. We cannot be reckless for Barbadians. We cannot be reckless for our tourists. We cannot be reckless for the demands the Ministry of Health will have on us. We cannot be reckless for our ministry or our government. Because as we seek to repair, we are concerned of the area, the traffic flow. We are concerned of the fact that in digging or excavating to make repairs, we are dealing with additional lines. We are dealing with an influent line. We are dealing with an effluent line. We have to know where to put the effluent. We have to be sure that we are able to pump out. We have to get in. We have to get out. We have to have the repairs. In saying all of those, none of them are excuses. We have sourced material. They take time to get here.
In other news, there's been yet another call for Barbadians who have benefited from the Student Revolving Loan Fund to pay up. It comes from Education Minister Ronald Jones, who says past recipients must honor their legal obligation so that other Barbadians can fulfill their academic aspirations. He made the comments as he addressed the fund's Staff Awards dinner over the weekend.
As indicated in its name, the Student Revolving Loan Fund was created to be a revolving entity. This means that the funds borrowed must not only be repaid, but must be repaid in a timely manner to ensure resources are available to other would-be borrowers. In 2009, after 32 years of existence, the fund became truly revolving when it was able to provide loans and cover its costs from its own resources. It is incumbent on all Barbadians who have benefited from loans from the fund to keep it being sustained by honoring their legal and moral obligations to pay back, and thereby ensuring that other Barbadians are extended the same opportunity to fulfill their academic aspirations.
The Barbados Youth Service will have a permanent home after 12 years. The new facility, according to Youth Minister Stephen Lashley, will be located at Paragon Christchurch. Lashley told the graduation ceremony of 64 students of the service's one-year developmental training program that work on the new facility, which will be equipped with residential facilities, is set to begin this month.
Approximately 362 square feet of land has been secured at Paragon in Christchurch to facilitate the construction work. The Barbados Youth Service has designed 9 prefabricated buildings, which as a facility could accommodate the Barbados Youth Service and facilitate the residential camp on that site. This facility would accommodate 120 persons per intake, and of course funds were approved in the 2017-2018 estimates to commence the construction of this Your Permanent Home. As a consequence, the project will be executed on a phase basis, with phase 1 starting on December the 18th this year.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Over in St. Lucia, an independent senator is calling for the appointment of members of the Integrity Commission to be made a priority in the new year. The term for the former commission ended in March last year, and the current situation is not sitting well with Dr. Adrian Auger. We get more in this report from HTS News Force.
He expressed concern that to date, the only body aimed at holding them accountable is non-existent.
All of us are outside the rules of compliance, having not filed. We can only say for so long that the Integrity Commission has not been composed and therefore there is no one to submit to. But that excuse is wearing a little bit thin in my conscience, and I would like to be compliant with the Constitution, and I'm going to ask publicly once again for the restoration of the Integrity Commission early in 2018. I would like that to be at the top of our agenda.
The independent senator recently represented St. Lucia at the Parliamericas Conference in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where the subject matter focused on Parliament's role in the process of open government. One of those items highlighted is the need for a more participatory approach to lawmaking. Not just consultation before a bill is tabled, but deep and meaningful consultation in the process of drafting legislation.
And finally, on the international scene, protests erupt near the United States Embassy in Beirut on Sunday over President Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The clashes broke out as crowds threw plastic water bottles, stones and sticks at the police, despite calls to keep the demonstration peaceful. We get more in this CNN report.
Clashes like these in the past few days, stone-throwing Palestinian youths goading well-armed Israeli security forces, a part of what world leaders openly worried might happen following President Trump's announcement recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Their fears weren't misplaced. There have been casualties. Yet this is only a partial picture. Many of the Palestinian protests have been relatively peaceful and overall have lacked the scale and zeal of past Palestinian actions. And although it's way too soon to know how all this is going to turn out, it raises the question, can President Trump capitalize on his announcement?
We're profoundly grateful for the president for his courageous and just decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Israelis, from the Prime Minister on down, have been gushing in their praise.
It's a good step forward towards peace.
When I came into office,
one lawmaker suggested Trump's name should be carved into Judaism's sacred Western Wall. Another said he'd name a park after Trump. Of course, there's been much speculation about why Trump made the announcement. His critics say it was just to fulfill a campaign promise. Yet the careful framing by the White House and the positive Israeli response perhaps gives Trump leverage other U.S. presidents lacked.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And don't forget, Mix 96.9 FM for the very latest. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.